broadcast tonight, Shippensburg students will compete for one grand prize.
And the shipwreck gives us a whole week of reasons to sweat.
All of that and more right now on SUTV News. Thanks for joining us on SUTV News. I'm Bailey Casada.
And I'm Haley Galaskis.
This Saturday, 3 of your peers will be going home with some big prizes. APB's Ship's Got Talent has been a yearly favorite for many as it has given students a chance to show off their talents and skills that make them unique. This year, the event will be held in the Cub NPR rather than the Lurs Performing Arts Center. But the prizes will still be $500 for first place, second place will be $300, and the third place prize will be $150. If you are interested in competing, you must be at the NPR for 6:15, but if you're going to cheer on the contestants, doors will open at 7:45. Attention all student groups, now's the chance to celebrate your leaders. The nominations for Student Life Awards are now open and any student or student organization is eligible. Some of the categories you can nominate a student leader for include Outstanding First Year, Sophomore, Junior, and Senior, as well as the President of the Year Award, Raider Legacy Award, and Exemplary Leader Award. Each winner will receive a plaque and cash prize, but nominations will close on Friday, March 17th at 5 p.m., so get them in as soon as possible. If you have questions, please contact Emily Jabbett at ekjabbett@ship.edu.
The Department of Recreation is hosting their very own Rec Week. During this week, there is a variety of events for students to attend. A few of the featured events are open swim at Higas Fieldhouse, cycling, basketball, wiffle ball home run derby, and so much more. The Rec is even hosting their brand new full-body trampoline workout class. This week of activities will go until this Sunday, so be sure to stop by and have some fun. You can check out a full list of events on their Instagram at Ship Recreation or look at one of the many posters all across campus.
When we come back, a former U.S. president is now in medical care.
Stay tuned.
TV.
Former President of the United States, Jimmy Carter, is currently receiving hospice care as his health is becoming a concern. The former 39th president is currently at his home in Georgia with his family and loved ones. Jimmy Carter was diagnosed with melanoma in 2015, but was fortunate to make a full recovery. A statement was released from his foundation stating, quote, "He has the full support of his family and his medical team. The Carter family asks for privacy during this time and is grateful for the concerns shown by his many admirers," end quote. Hundreds of members of the community gathered Tuesday morning to remember a slain Temple police officer. University officer Chris Fitzgerald was shot and killed Sunday night on duty, shortly after the 7 o'clock hour. The incident occurred on Montgomery Avenue around the 1700 block. Local authorities identified 18-year-old Miles Pfeffer as the one who pulled the trigger on Officer Fitzgerald. Philadelphia Mayor Jim Kenney has recognized the incident and calls for such violent acts to be put to a stop immediately.
A small town in Kentucky has been the host of a nonstop worship service for nearly 2 weeks. Asbury University, a small Christian university in Wilmore, Kentucky, has held what's now being called the Asbury Revival. The revival meeting began after students refused to leave a chapel service last Wednesday. Eventually, the services grew with outsiders from all over the country packing the chapel. The small college has seen approximately tens of thousands gather for over 13 days. The town of Wilmore only makes up around 5,000 total residents. People would stay for the services and then stop into the local businesses. However, the overflow of people has created a logistical issue for the town and has forced the revival to move to an off-campus location, according to university officials. In a statement, Asbury University President Kevin Brown said, quote, "We cannot fully express the profound gratitude we have for stewarding this outpouring in the life of our school and beyond. Ultimately, we pray that our efforts in these days point to our Savior." Monday, university officials deemed it their last public worship service of the event, but parts of the services for young adults will be streamed through today. The works of Roald Dahl have been enthralled readers, young and old, for decades. However, the author's works are now at the center of controversy. In a report by the Daily Telegraph, it was revealed that hundreds of newly published copies of Dahl's works have been edited, many removing uses of words like ugly or fat, as well as other references to race, gender, ethnicity some may find offensive. This has been the effort of a company known as Inclusive Minds, a company dedicated to creating inclusive and accurate representation in children's books. With the discovery of these changes, many authors took to social media to express their distaste for the censorship. Author Salman Rushdie said, quote, "Roald Dahl was no angel, but this is absurd censorship. Puffin Books and the Dahl estate should be ashamed," end quote. As of February 23rd, Puffin Publishing has yet to respond to or comment to the controversial new changes.
Coming up in world news, we have a harrowing rescue out of Turkey.
We have more after the
Prize visit to Ukraine this past weekend.
SUTV's Paige Shope tells us the latest for this week's world news.
In a handshake that stunned the world, President Joe Biden arrived in Ukraine's capital city Monday to meet with President Volodymyr Zelensky. The trip was a secret detour from the president's planned visit to Poland, set to begin Tuesday. It was also a surprise designed to send a strong message to Moscow. Laura Unagiri has the visit's highlights.
Russia's aim was to wipe Ukraine off the map. Putin's war of conquest is failing.
President Joe Biden calling out Russia's Vladimir Putin during a surprise visit to Ukraine Monday. Traveling in near secrecy, President Biden's arrival in Kyiv comes just days before the one-year anniversary of Russia's invasion.
1 year later, Kyiv stands, and Ukraine stands. Democracy stands.
Despite being in an active war zone, the two world leaders talked while walking outside, air raid sirens ringing out. In a visit to St. Michael's Cathedral, the presidents each laid a wreath for Ukraine's fallen soldiers. The entire trip highly symbolic, President Biden wanting to make it clear to his Russian counterpart that the U.S. and Ukraine will not be divided.
He's counting on us not sticking together. He thought he could outlast us. I don't think he's thinking that right now.
The U.S. pledge of support includes further sanctions on Russia and an aid package worth $500 million, but not the F-16 fighter jets that Ukraine has been asking for. The president is hoping to thread the needle between all-out provocation with Russia and committing American support for Ukraine.
We're going to be with you, Mr. President, for as long as it takes.
We'll do it.
I'm Laura Aguirre reporting.
Japan's attempt to send a new advanced H-3 rocket from the Tanegashima Space Center in the prefecture was aborted on Friday. That's after the booster engine failed to ignite. Japan's space agency, JAXA, made the announcement at the center itself and said it's investigating what had happened. A live stream of the launch showed smoke rising from the bottom of the rocket as it failed to lift off. The H-3 is Japan's third-generation liquid hydrogen-powered rocket. Friday's failure is the latest setback for the country's space program. That's after the Epsilon rocket failed after launch in October of last year. That was the first major failure of a major Japanese rocket launch since 2003. Colombia's famous Carnival of Barranquilla has taken off over the weekend, celebrating the South American country's folklore. The celebration takes place every year 4 days before Lent and offers a variety of dances and musical expressions, including political satire. The carnival is one of UNESCO's list of intangible cultural heritage of humanity. A 12-year-old boy was rescued from rubble in southern Hatay province 260 hours after the deadly earthquake hit Turkey and Syria. CNN Turk reported live from the scene late Thursday. According to CNN Turk, Osman, who appeared to be in good condition, was found in a sitting position in a hole surrounded by beams and rubble. He was taken to a hospital for a medical checkup. Osman told the rescue team that there was another person in the same location. Police searched the area with guide dogs after Osman was rescued, and they intensified their operations looking for the second person. That's it for this week's World News. I'm Paige Shope. Now back to Haley and Bailey at the desk.
Back in entertainment, we have a review of Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania.
We have more after the break. A nice day today, but I'm so upset I never really got to go outside.
I know, same here. I was blown away seeing the students walking around in shorts in February, but it's probably going to cool down again. So let's send it over to Allison Ritchie with this week's weather.
Good evening, Shippensburg. Let's look at this week's weather forecast. This morning was pretty foggy, but the sun came out in the afternoon, bringing with it today's high of 72. Tonight, we will see a low near 40. The sun stays around into tomorrow with a modest high of 43. Temperatures drop to below freezing with a low of 26 at night. Over the weekend, Saturday is overcast with a high of 41 and a low of 29 in the night. Sunday, the clouds and sun alternate throughout the day with temperatures up again around 55. As we enter the week ahead, Monday starts with rain showers that will remain steady into the afternoon with a high of 42. The sun stays around into Tuesday morning with a high of 47. The showers let up later in the afternoon. Wednesday remains overcast with a high of 49. Showers will develop later at night, sticking around into Thursday with a cloudy high of 52. Friday is pretty much the same story with overcast rain showers and a high of 49. With that, I hope everyone stays dry this week as we approach spring break. I'm Allison Ritchie. Let's check in with SUTV's Priscilla Schultz, who has this week's entertainment.
Marvel's latest has been splitting fans and critics down the middle. Here with his review of the newest Ant-Man movie is SUTV's Adam Beam.
While the films have been profitable, the MCU has been going through a bit of a rough patch with their past few releases, many criticizing the lack of direction, and the frequency to which they were coming out was starting to reek more of quantity over quality. Now the first film of Marvel's Phase 5 is here, and it promises to be an important next step in the MCU's multiverse saga.
I used to ask myself a lot of questions. Scott, you're at ex-con. How are you an Avenger?
Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania is currently sitting as the MCU's second lowest rated movie, and while many of the criticisms are valid, I think stuff like Love and Thunder or The Incredible Hulk are far worse. The biggest issue with Quantumania is trying to cram too much into its short 2-hour runtime. The appeal of the Ant-Man movies was the fact that they were smaller scaled adventures, ones that allowed the charismatic cast to really shine. But with the latest film attempting to be an Avengers-level film with an Avengers-level threat and an Avengers-level story, it tries to have the best of both worlds, and it really doesn't deliver on either.
Okay. I'm an Avenger. I've called the other Avengers.
You're an Avenger. Have I killed you before?
Speaking of that Avengers-level threat, if anything is holding this film together, it's Jonathan Majors as Kang. It's clear that Marvel picked the perfect actor to portray a character like Kang the Conqueror. Unfortunately, because the Ant-Man movies try to be more comedic than most other MCU movies, even the threatening presence of Major is undermined by some really goofy story beats and side characters. Even the quantum realm and its inhabitants don't feel that inspired. Half the time it feels like you're watching a Star Wars movie with elements of Dune sprinkled in there for good measure.
So, what's it gonna be? Ant-Man.
Quantumania still has some of the moments of charm that worked in the first two Ant-Man movies, and there are some impressive visuals. Majors is obviously a delight, Paul Rudd is charismatic as ever, and there are a few times when the comedy does work. But due to the film refusing to commit to a more serious tone like the trailers promised, it fails to cap off this trilogy, and it starts the road to the Kang Dynasty a little rocky. For SUTV Entertainment, I'm Adam Beam.
You think you can beat me?
On Sunday, February 19th, the British Academy of Film and Television Awards aired. All Quiet on the Western Front took home 7 awards, including Best Director and Screenplay. The Banshees of Inisherin won 4 awards, including Best Supporting Actor and Actresses. Best Lead Actress went to Cate Blanchett for Tar, and Best Lead Actor went to Austin Butler for Elvis, which also received Best Costume Design and makeup and hair. There was also some controversy as well. While kicking off the BAFTAs, actress Ariana DeBose added in a rap of her own that paid tribute to the female nominees. Though many people in the audience had fun with her rap, social media users did not and ended up making fun of it to the point where Ariana deactivated her Twitter account. The BAFTAs may be from across the pond, but with the Oscars fast approaching, they could indicate who will be taking home the gold on March 12th. It's official. Actress Rebel Wilson has officially announced her engagement. Wilson took to Instagram where she announced the exciting engagement to her fiancé, Ramona Agruma, with the caption, "We said yes." The two confirmed their relationship last June during Pride Month, when Rebel shared a photo of the two, which she captioned, "I thought I was searching for a Disney prince, but maybe what I really needed all this time was a Disney princess." Now, months later, Wilson dropped the big question during their trip to Disney World. Wilson proposed with a stunning 2.55 carat Tiffany & Co. ring. Of course, many of their celebrity friends commented heartfelt messages to congratulate the two. There is no set date for the wedding, but for now, the two are living happily ever after. Law & Order Special Victims Unit's Richard Belzer passed away at the age of 78 this past Sunday. SUTV's Austin Briner has more on the story.
Stand-up comedian and actor Richard Belzer has died at the age of 78 after being found deceased in his friend's home. Born in Bridgeport, Connecticut, Belzer is best known for his role as Detective John Munch in the long-running series Law & Order Special Victims Unit, where he starred on the show for 15 seasons. Belzer's passing was confirmed by a friend of his, Bill Sheff, who is currently making a documentary on Belzer's life and career. Sheff said that Belzer had been dealing with circulatory and respiratory issues for years. Belzer's passing was remembered by his longtime co-star in the show, Mariska Hargitay, who said in quote, "Goodbye, my dear friend. I will miss you, your unique light, and your singular take on this strange world. I feel blessed to have known you and adored you and worked with you side by side for so many years. How lucky the angels are to have you. I can hear them laughing already." End quote. Belzer is survived by his wife Harley McBride and his two stepdaughters. For SUTV News.
That's it for this week's entertainment. I'm Priscilla Schultz, and now back to Haley and Bailey at the desk.
When we come back in sports, we have a recap of the swim team's performance at the PSAC Championships.
And the Daytona 500 is finally here, so stick around.
Baseball had a 3-game weekend series against Gannon this past weekend. In the first game, the Raiders scored 10 runs. 7 of those runs came in the first inning. The Raiders scored 2 more runs in the second and won the fourth, and won the first game 10-2. Game 2, the game was tied at 1 in the bottom of the fourth, till Raiders scored 3 unanswered runs and won the second game 4-1. Game 3 was a slugfest. The Raiders jumped out to a 4-0 lead after 4 innings. The 8th inning, the Golden Knights came back and scored 6 runs and took the lead 6-4. In the bottom of the 8th, the Raiders scored 2 runs and tied the game. Top of the 9th, the Golden Knights scored 2 runs and had a 2-run lead. Then the bottom of the 9th, junior Austin Bale hit a walk-off grand slam to give the Raiders the win 11-8. The Raiders have won 7 straight. The Raiders will be back at home this weekend for a 4-game series against Slippery Rock. Friday's first pitch is set for 2 o'clock. The Shippensburg University men's swimming team achieved multiple season bests and delivered a slew of solid performances Saturday at the Bison Winter Invite hosted by Bucknell University at Kinney Natatorium. The main goal of Saturday was to afford competition and invitational meet against the likes of Division I Patriot League schools such as Lehigh, Lafayette, American host Bucknell, while continuing training for the league championships, which are about a fortnight away. Junior Michael Salvatore continued his momentum, the new season best of 4 minutes and 46 seconds. Salvatore also tied graduate Andrew Hale in the 200-yard freestyle. Both swimmers touched the wall at 1 minute and 46 seconds. Salvatore also paced the Raiders in the 200-yard butterfly, taking 7th in 1 minute and 58 seconds for another new season best. And last but not least, he shaved 3 seconds off his season and team best, the 400-yard, with a time minute of 4 minutes and 8 seconds. A standout performance for the Raiders, a hopeful shine from freshmen Nate Walls and Nathan Van Natter delivered times of just over a minute in the 100-yard breaststroke. Well, this past Sunday, the biggest race that motorsports had to offer took the spotlight once again, NASCAR Cup Series Daytona 500. This race was an absolute thriller throughout its 212 laps, which featured 52 lead changes. Yes, you heard that right, 52. There were a total of 8 caution flags due to multiple multi-car crashes taking place. A few of the front runners to win the Daytona 500 had their evenings end early due to these crashes, including Chase Elliott and Ryan Blaney. Ultimately, this race went to double overtime. The new NASCAR rules in place, showdown between Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Loey Logano, competing for the top spot in the final laps. Stenhouse ultimately had a little bit more gas in the tank than Logano, so he took first place the Daytona 500, winning by just 0.6 of a second. The NASCAR Cup Series continues on next Sunday at the Pala Casino 400. Race time is set for 3:30. That's it for this week's sports. I'm Alexander Haig. Now back to Haley and Bailey at the desk.
When we come back, man's best friend is helping students recover from a recent tragedy.
Stay tuned. Michigan State University students and employees are getting some four-legged therapy in the aftermath of last week's shooting. As students returned to classes Monday, therapy dogs were made available in the school's library. It's one of the many mental health services available to students, staff, faculty, and other members of the community to help them process the tragedy. 1 week earlier, on February 13th, a gunman opened fire in 2 campus buildings, killing 3 students and critically injuring 5 others before turning the gun on himself.
That's it for SUTV News. I'm Bailey Casada.
And I'm Haley Galaskis. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at SUTV News, and check out our website, sutvnews.org.
We'll see you next week. Good night.